I love it that you're here. Thank you. All right. So in the meantime, we are going to, please bear with me. Please introduce yourself. I'm going to add our other channels. There's several little channels that we're going to be streaming on. So it's going to take me just one more minute to do that. In the meantime, please continue introducing yourself. Who else is here with us today? You want to unmute yourself? I can't hear you.
Hi.
Hi, who is this? Welcome.
Hi. My name is Daria. I'm from Ontario, Canada.
Daria, welcome.
Thank you.
Daria, Canada. Awesome. And one more channel.
I'll say hi. I'm not new. I've been making a few of these and they're so fabulous. It's really a good kickstart for the week because it just gets me on track.
That's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear that. How does it feel that it has helped or supported? That's a good question for everyone in the group. How are you guys utilizing this? Where do you need more support? Do you need, are there more questions? What do you run into? Blockages during the week that are difficult? That's what I want to know.
I think for me, the hardest thing is to actually go through a reasonable process with the emotions when it's live in motion at work or in the family and things are happening and I want to time out and process in the moment, and it's really not realistic. It doesn't work very well.
Okay, tell us a little bit more about that, please.
Well, if I'm in a situation and I'm starting to notice I'm getting triggered and I'm going down that path, in real life, I can't just time out and push pause and sit down and do the meditation and process the emotions, right?
Right.
So I guess it's the delicate dance of in the now, in the moment, enough of a band-aid, if you will, to then get to where I have the space to process and figure out what was going on.
Okay, got it. So of course it's going to take time because this is something that we have to be working on constantly during our meditation time. We should all be meditating, in my opinion, a minimum an hour a day, okay? However you can. I know we have very busy lives. Oh, hold on a second, guys. I know we have very busy lives and with family, with partners, with, priorities. But if we can try to find, at least 15 minutes to get to the bare minimum of working with some of these emotions that are coming up, simply becoming aware of the patterns that begin to arise through your week. The fact that you have patterns can actually change your life tremendously, because all you have to do is grab the patterns and start to work with those patterns. When you sit to work with those patterns within a session in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you can begin to understand how to support yourself. The key is that we're doing in the meditation, training ourselves to support ourselves when we feel a triggering emotion. What do we need? We need to teach ourselves. What's the opposite of that? What does the opposite look like? What does the opposite feel like? What does the opposite, what kind of reactions are we going to get even? Okay, this is where we train our intuition. This is where we train the holographic system through the internal body. Okay, through the internal body of running through these scenarios of checking our emotions and how we respond, pulls us out, and we help inform how to support. So if you're doing this work on a daily basis, then in your daily experiences, you're not going to be caught off guard, and you won't already be, not knowing how to handle those emotions. Does that make sense, Jessica?
It makes perfect sense. And I actually am doing the meditations. And I think the punchline is it's going to require patience. It's not instant. It's just, it takes more time. I just need a little more time to be in the field, in the play, and catching those curveballs and doing it more gracefully.
Right. It does take time, and we just need to be very patient with ourselves because you know, it's a constant work in progress. Essentially, as we deprogram the triggering parts of us, we support ourselves so much that now nothing is unknown. Because remember, the reason why these triggers are so difficult is because we don't know how to handle them when they come up. They are unknown territory to us. And it's been unknown usually since childhood. We're repeating the pattern of disconnect since childhood. So how do we reconnect that child and provide the child with tools to navigate that moment? That's exactly what it's all about. So this is progressive work, but essentially what you're going to come down to after doing all this work is you'll notice that with everything is the same. You are whatever emotion, whatever trigger you're experiencing, it's always going to come down to the same thing. And this is where things become really simple. You're learning how to embody a neutral state that is compassionate and loving towards yourself in all situations. That's the key. That's the end goal, essentially. How do we hold space? How do we know ourselves enough that we hold space, that we are respectful to this organism, meaning that we're not abusing it. We abuse ourselves so many different ways constantly. We are judging ourselves. We are rejecting ourselves. We are feeling abandoned, disconnected. We have all these false programs that we're running in the back end. And that is what feeds the triggers that allow us to become triggered because we believe these systems. So when they show up in the world outside of us, it just reinforces deeper feelings of helplessness and disconnect rather than the opposite. So this is where we have to redirect the attention from expecting the external to provide us with that validation, love, comfort, security, and into creating our own universe of that security, that grounding, that interconnectedness. And this is the neural pathways that we're breaking. We're interrupting those and reinforcing the ones that are creating the circuit within you, your microcosm within you. That cyclical energy cycle that we create in the body is an energetic expression of how we are redirecting the life force, and sustainability fountain doesn't come from external, it comes from internal. And we do that by becoming super compassionate of ourselves. Do you want to be in a constant state of stress? Do you want to be in survival mode? If the answer is no, and you clearly understand the side effects of that, you begin to become more mindful. And now people's triggers will not shake this foundation that you've created with your inner knowing and inner self. So eventually it won't be such a struggle. We won't continue to see the world in a dualistic manner. It will be ourselves and the whole as a symbiotic experience kind of thing, you know. Shirley has a question.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering in regards to an hour of meditation, is it best to do a silent meditation or a guided meditation?
So here's how I would answer that. It really depends on, first of all, let me ask you this question. What is the theme for you? What is the trigger that keeps coming up for you? Are you aware of that?
I'm actually pretty peaceful. If I'm going to have any one thing, it's probably going to be, sometimes I get a little bit frustrated when I'm doing work, when I'm working at my job.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that. Just for example, tell me the trigger. What's the trigger? Do you know, have you studied it enough to understand the root of that trigger?
I would probably say it's that the people that that are supposed to be on my team are not dependable.
Very good. Okay, so this pattern that we're experiencing and that we have experienced, we want to take a look and see how have we been feeling that way in other circumstances in our life? Is this the first time that we feel this way, or is it something that becomes triggered in other situations? So for this kind of meditation, the number one thing is first creating a practice of quieting this survival mind. But since you already have a lot of peace practice within you, and you've done vipassana work, which means that you're in a state of observation, training observation. When you train observation, you can identify pretty quickly where we are letting our energetic field kind of merge with other people, and where the expectation dynamics are externalizing. Okay, so the two meditations that I would advise, number one is to create a strong foundation of observation. And number two, if you're going to do a guided meditation, guide yourself through the emotional patterns that are being triggered. What do you need in order to not be triggered when someone isn't carrying their weight or doing what they need to do? Because chances are that's a program that we've been experiencing in other occasions throughout life. And when we understand what we need to do to redirect the expectation, that's when you start to create a strong foundation within you that cannot be affected, essentially. So this is how I would identify which kind of meditation would be best for us. Any other questions, guys? Shirley, does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have a question? Let's jump into questions before we get into our meditation. Hi, everyone.
Gerald,
In the chat.
hi.
Hi.
I wanted to know, as we progress, we are supposed to detach ourselves from the material, sort of like from things. I'm trying to do that. I wanted to know, how do I practice letting go?
You know, the goal isn't to detach from things. That's not really the goal. That's something that naturally occurs. The detachment that we really want to have is the attachment to attachment. That's actually what we want to work on. And it really doesn't matter to what. It can be to people, it can be to emotions, it can be to experiences. It's attachment in general. And this is what humans, we have a very difficult time doing. And this is actually what came up in meditation today for me. And it's been coming up a lot this week. How do we feel safe in the unknown? Because again, that detachment is unknown for humanity, because we live in very physical experiences where the senses are the antennas of experience, right? And we're so used to absorbing experiences through the senses that they provide meaning to our experiences. If it wasn't for the meaning that we apply to the triggers that are coming in through the senses, experiences would feel pretty neutral. And when you reach a high state of this awareness, this state of neutrality, you will definitely enter into this neutral state of observation in which you are no longer necessarily being triggered by those external things. So what happens in that case is that the human goes through this crisis, in this process of awakening, where the ego begins to feel useless in a way. It begins to feel threatened because its meaning, its identity, the ego needs and wants to have an identity. It needs an individuation away from the whole in order to be able to exist in the way that it believes it needs to exist in a dualistic dimensional plane, which we exist. And the truth is that the key of the human experience is to transcend duality. We transcend this dualistic idea by helping that ego feel comfortable in its nothingness and in its wholeness to the whole. So this is the thing that we are learning how to train ourselves from the inside out. And when we begin to work on the ego part, that it begins to feel okay being all and nothing simultaneously, those little desires, those egoic desires to satiate the part of itself that requires an individuation and a separation from something else in order to provide a false sense of worth, a false sense of high state of being. This is a different creator state. The creator state that comes into truth, which when you identify the truth of yourself, is you realize that you're not separate from the whole at all. Biologically, bioelectrically, biochemically, multidimensionally, we are not separate from anything. We are one. And this is the hardest thing for the ego to accept fully, because in that, it's going to have to let go of personalities. It's going to have to let go of masks, because though in those masks, in those personalities are complex layers. In these children's games, we create avatars. So you get to choose, right? What the avatar looks like, what it gets to wear, how it gets to feel, its attitude. It's the same thing. Us humans, we create this avatar and we decorate it with all of its little gadgets, right? To create this personality. And we feel so excited that it gets to have all of this, but included in those personality traits, in the definition of the color of the hair, in definition of the way that you speak, for example, is encoded limiting patterns of information. That's it. It's an identity. It's led to a limit of what you are, a precise existence. So when in that case, your navigation is only going to be met with the limitations of that perspective, only up until that ceiling that is provided by those personalities, by those perspectives. And it'll be hard for the human to be able to view the universe beyond that and its limitations of that personality. So in order to let go, essentially, to answer your question more concisely, we essentially have to understand that we are all in nothing simultaneously. And in that understanding, nurture the ego part, the little child self that really wants to hold on to that and identify why. There's always something that is being protected. It's the ego, but what part of the ego is being protected? Does the ego believe that it's incomplete without this thing that we can't let go? It can be a mug that you have in your house that you're trying to clean and you can't let go of. What is it? Because encoded in the mug, in this example, is a lot of emotions and memories. And because of our level of unconsciousness, we don't realize the connection and entanglement that we have with all things that surround us. So if your house is filled with lots of stuff, you have a lot of subconscious memories and attachments in the field. So the more minimal that one becomes, the less we become attached to that, the less, because everything triggers within us. We're just so unconscious and unaware. We don't realize the impact that everything around us has on our subconscious mind. We acquired it for a reason. And encoded in that reason is needs, desires, programs of lack. Okay. And of course, we're talking about these things, right? But everything that we try, that the human is acquiring, is a survival mechanism on some level. So, and I know that might seem severe, but I want you to sit with that and meditate into your deepest parts to try to understand how so. And when you identify that part, you can nurture that part. You can allow and provide that part with new information, okay? That it doesn't require this thing that we're trying to let go in order to survive or to be safe. These are the two main things that the ego wants. It wants to be safe, comfortable in what it knows, even if it's suffering, and it wants to survive. That's the ultimate root of that program, is survival mechanism, fear of separation, fear of being not being whole. So this is how we have to work with all the little parts, subconscious parts of us that feel separate, and show them how to become whole again. And therefore, you will require nothing and you will feel no lack. I know this for a fact. This is something that is acquired through our internal practice. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, it does, because I've been nurturing my ego,
Oh,
and I've been given that love, the
yeah.
child in me, and I've been going deep with him because I've been healing myself through all the meditations we've been doing. So, of course, but this was a question that came up today for me. I was
Yeah.
sitting outside, and it's sort of like it just came up. So it's something that I needed to understand fully. So you just provided the answer for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that you brought that up because it also came up in my meditation today too. So if anybody else has this kind of it came up in different ways, and I'm going to talk about it today in depth. Let's go to Nicoella. Welcome. Want to unmute yourself? Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me? I've just got this
Yes.
little speaker. Yeah, great, fantastic. I don't know quite yet at the moment how this is going to sit in the landscape, but I just am really aware that pretty much I've just had this big realization, but pretty much today, this morning, and it might be relevant to what we're about to do, but I guess my trigger, that one of my triggers is not being seen, and I think, and most of my life with the women in my life, my family, my mother, my sister, the girl that I grew up with ever since I was born. Complex scenario because my father had a relationship with her mother at the same time as my mother. That's a complex dynamic. But with her and with my sister, there's been this. I've dealt with domination and submission, and I've been on the submissive side, and I've really struggled with that and trying to understand that and what the gift of that was, trying to work out what was the gift of allowing myself to be in that position where I was. But anyway, today I looked at the gene keys have Richard Rudd has the gene keys, and he has Dominion is one of the gene keys. One of the gene keys has Dominion, and then what is it? Synergy, and then communion. The synergy being the gift, and communion being the higher city. And I just realized my friend that I grew up with when she was 7, that was the gene key that came in for her. And I kind of realized that I've been conditioned by that gene key from that experience, from that age. But anyway, today, and the resolution for that was just was standing alone from the dynamic of the family, all of that hierarchy, the whole hierarchical system, and being in this. I've always been, and it was just really interesting because I realized that part of my struggle was not being my value system has always been synergy. I've always been a collaborator and not a competitor, and it's been a huge dynamic in my life. But just realizing the integrity of the value system that I sat in, that wasn't acknowledged or wasn't seen or wasn't experienced in that landscape, is really healing. I don't know if that's relevant to anything that you were saying, and I don't know whether I'm tricking myself at an ego level, but I don't know. There's just this incredible sense of, I can honor who I was or who I am integrally without necessarily judging anybody else for the position that they've taken, but at least stand in my own, that rather than being powerless within the dynamics, at least stand in a place of integrity within myself. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of an unplugging from the reactivity in a funny kind of way by just seeing it from a different perspective. Okay.
Absolutely.
I can't say any. I don't know. I'm open to whatever. But anyway, thank you.
No, it's fantastic. I love that you shared that with us. Thank you so much. And does anybody else resonate with that? Has anyone else had a similar experience? Yeah. Anybody want to comment on that or have anything to share or perspective that they've also had? Yep. Angie says it's all part of the journey. So beautifully said. Absolutely. Beautiful. So, excellent. Anybody else have a question? What else are you guys struggling with? I do the same. I have the woman not to speak kind of, they're probably not being heard. Okay, so Venusian says my trigger is not being heard. And that's not only part of my work here on Earth, but it's my natal chart. But also it's an ancestral block as women in my culture are silenced at times violently. So this is a really awesome comment here, Venusian, because this takes us into a deeper understanding about how we are working with the natal chart astrologically, or what I call archetypal influences on deep levels of transformation and purpose here on Earth. You know, the time of your birth, the time that you come into this physical vessel is kind of a photograph of the universe, the energy, the vibrational frequency that exists at that time that you were brought into conception. And that is encoded with information genetically through your DNA, through the lineage of mother and father, to support this organism, you being born, coming into this realm that is about to embark on an opportunity for breaking of cyclical traumas that go down this lineage in order to transcend as an organism and to become whole again. So it's really amazing that you were able to identify that, and it allows you to know where your work is. This is where the work is for you. What does it take in order to feel? And it's really funny the way healing works, because sometimes the thing that we've created into this magnifying blockage in our life, we discover sometimes, you know, we do need to speak up for ourselves. We need to communicate. We need to express. We need to find ways for that expression to be channeled in a way that is creative. And when I mean creative, I don't mean an art craft. I mean life force creation, your impact in this whole, your impact on the world, your impact in healing yourself, your lineage, and the collective, the impact that you have on your child, if you have children, and in your partnerships as you are evolving. You know, this is the creation that is conscious. So these are triggers that are opening space for that. I feel like when you really begin to study the ego and its mechanisms, so much of people's talks becomes noise, population. What really needs saying, once you get the basic psychology principles, what really needs saying once you get the basic psychology principles? Nothing to find. I'm not understanding that question. Do you want to put it in there for me again as just a question? Thank you so much. In our chat, we have Linda. Come on in, Linda.
Hello, good evening. I want to ask, because I don't remember all my dreams, but the most recent one, before I wake up, I do.
Yeah.
More and more clearly, and I would say the whole, but I wake up very anxious. And during my day, I'm not as anxious as I used to be. We had sessions about a month ago, and I don't feel as horrible as I used to with the solar plexus and all that. And I am able to process my emotions a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think things did improve. And so the dreams are very interesting, which I'm very grateful that I am developing this, as you mentioned in a lot of your videos. But I just want to know why my heart is racing. And I would say I feel anxious, and I'm trying to figure out right after I wake up, like, what is it that I feel? And I just want to do the same work as I would do during the day. And I think Jessica asked this question when she's like in interaction and she can't really pick up what's going on because it's like so fluid and so on. So she doesn't have time to stay for the meditation and so on. So I do want to do it before I do anything else in my day after this, after I wake up and I feel this dream. But I can't really navigate through that. So I wanted to ask you about this. And then I also want to ask second question. I really feel like I do know what people say. Like, I'm not sure if it's intuition or it's telepathy or what it is, but I feel like this is what they think of, let's say, the situation or me, or what they, they keep it inside. But I feel like I can just hear their monologue.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, you mean internally? Are you tuning into this intuitively?
Right. So it's like I can tune in, and let's say if we speak about something and before I walk away, I know what they say inside themselves. It's like I could read, how is it? Read their thoughts. This is
Telepathy.
okay. So that's what I wanted to ask you. And I want to know, how is it possible that it's so easy, but in other situations in my life, and how could I use it? Maybe that would be the question. So is it like the gift or ability, or is it something that I'm just making up? I don't know, but I don't think so, because it usually turns out to be true. And so how could this be utilized?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
This is amazing. First of all, congratulations on your work. I'm so proud to hear that you were able to access and activate some of these gifts. I love how amazing, how exciting, because this is what this work is about. This is what we want. And you are living proof that you were able to activate this ability on your own. Okay, so this is really powerful. The fact that you're able to activate that telepathic ability is a major. So I talked about the senses. All senses are communication in higher dimensional planes. They allow us to communicate in different dimensional planes based on frequency. Okay, so the fact that you can hear and you can tune into that telepathic communication, you're activating the pineal gland and the antenna that creates this connection between the neocortex and the field, the morphogenetic field. This is really huge. What happens when we connect to that is that we enter into the field of communication of vibrational patterns. And you are basically creating almost like a television or like a radio in your head that you can pick up on these patterns. Okay. So what happens with this dialogue is this is where we now have to train into a higher intuitive ability. We first, for now, you're going to train listening more, listening, observing. What are you picking up? The next thing that's going to come online for you is the connection between the thoughts and the physical body. You're going to begin to see how those thoughts connect with physical reactions. Okay, so for example, if the comment that is being said is, let's say an example, something of insecurity, you're going to feel also in your body the tension that they feel at the time that they're having the thought. Okay, so what that's going to help you do, we need to study ourselves first really well. I want you to sit with yourself in meditation, begin to become really familiar with emotions, all the emotions. I want you to get the largest list of emotions that you can find, and you're going to sit with each one of them and begin to train yourself to identify emotions and physical reaction for you. We all have different ways of processing emotions based on our experiences. What this is going to do is it's going to help you become familiar and strengthen that muscle internally of translating the information, vibrational patterns that you're picking up from these dialogues. And what it'll help you do is it'll help you identify as a healer, but also just holding space. It doesn't mean you have to become a healer, just holding space for the other person with time. That as you become familiar with that dialogue, and you will open up a vibrational frequency from you that people will begin to probably ask or share with you that they require more support. And you will be able to provide that support because you'll help them identify the root of that program and that emotion as they share it with you. What do we do with that information? We follow the law of free will. The law of free will means that we have access to all information, but it doesn't mean we have to act on it. We only act on it when we can be of service to the collective. And that is only when the other individual asks us for help. So keep in mind, a lot of people, empaths, they get very overwhelmed with the fact that they can pick up everything and they feel like they have some responsibility. What do I do with this? And we also feel burdened. We have emotional reactions. We judge what we pick up. So it's going to be really important during this opening phase for you to practice the non-judgment, the 0 point. That's another part that I really want you to focus on. And also why you're going to do the emotional body connection. Because notice as you do that exercise, you'll notice where your judgments and perceptions are about these emotions. So when you pick it up from someone, you're going to train yourself not to react. Because a lot of us, when we pick up an intuitive hit, we want to react to it. We judge it. We're like, oh my God, that's terrible. That person thinks that. Or, oh, that's so sad. The person is feeling depressed right now. So when you do that, you entangle yourself energetically to the person. And this depletes your life force over time because we accumulate those cords, those connections. And instead of being productive and creative with your gift, you become counter-creative, drained, exhausted, and confused. So we have to train our own self. We have to know ourselves so well that we know what's what. Because until we train that, we get very confused. We don't know where we begin, where the other person ends, which one's my emotion, what's the other person's emotion. So this is fine-tuning the gift into the highest frequency, highest accuracy. And we do that through the training of the mind-body connection. I hope this helps. Anybody else have a question? Anybody else dealing with something that they want to have? I'm having issues with identity from birth till the age of 30. First noticed memory loss as following an NDE from a car accident at the age of 17. Wow, Scott. Yeah, that's a really huge thing. And I remember discussing a little bit about that. But how do we deal with memory loss when it comes to healing? I get this question a lot. And what it comes down to is understanding that even if your memory system, let's say you experience amnesia as a result of a severe accident, and you cannot remember what actually happened in that experience. It is not necessary for you to have the visual memories. Memory is multidimensional. It's vibrational frequency, it's emotional, it's energetic, it's bioelectrical and biochemical in the body. So if you can't access the memory from the imagery part of the brain that allows you to have a vivid visual, you're going to remember it through the emotional body or through another part of the body. But it is never erased. Never, never. Memory is never erased. And this is a fact. All memory patterns are being programmed in the body and are stored multidimensionally. So my advice, Scott, in this healing process, because I have many clients that have this issue, is to begin to observe your patterns of emotions that you're playing out right now. Because whatever you are right now is exactly seated in the side effect, cause and effect of experiences and traumas that have happened as a child, even before you lost your memory. All of those memories that you have are encoded in your body. And our programming system is so strong that it becomes automatic for us. It's an automatic response that is programmed. So if you begin to access those emotions that you're having right now that are triggering you, you can sit with them and you will begin to unpack layers of emotions. As you unpack those layers of emotions, you will unpack memories eventually. Eventually you will unpack memories. So I want you to trust when you're sitting with emotions and working with those, that it'll open up. I remember when I was doing my meditation work, I eventually started to uncover memories that I couldn't even believe that I could remember. I started to remember memories in the crib, memories in the womb, memories that of everyday little tiny things that it's like, why would you remember such a thing? It is unbelievable how our body is constantly absorbing our surroundings, 360 degrees around us all the time. We are absorbing and storing that information. So our healing journey then is for us to uncover the triggers that are affecting our life now. It's not necessary to remember all of those memories. We don't need to recover them. Some people even have this thing where they have separate lives in one life. Okay, and sometimes these vivid accidents finish one phase of their life and begin another phase. Some people call this walk-ins, okay, where this fractal of the soul is now entering in a higher octave. It's not something that's separate from you because we are one, we are whole, and you didn't lose the old self. The old self is still within you. It's still accessible. So we just have to use what we have available for us now to move forward in our healing and evolution. Esteban?
Hi, good afternoon, Geraldine. Hello, everyone. So my question comes in, I think, as a result of healing a trigger. I recently, actually, I'm in the middle of passing a kidney stone. And I know that that's related to the kidneys and anger and frustration. So I feel that I've addressed many of those topics in meditation. And I sit in the neutral point, in the 0 point almost every day. I'm kind, I'm loving to individuals outside my sphere. I have a very clean diet of no animal products pretty much. So my question I'm trying to understand, was this more of an energetic manifestation as a purging of my body, as solving those triggers, and it manifested as this? And I understand it's an experience that I have to go through. But I'm trying to understand how, when, why it happened, right?
Okay, so and the kidneys were affected. And so you don't remember how that came to play, how that manifested, or you're not aware of how it came to be?
Correct.
Okay, so here's the thing. How illness manifests in the body is layers of emotional programs, okay? So what we want to identify is how did we manifest this blockage? And the emotion that is, for example, you said the kidneys? The
Yes.
kidneys, for example, which is holding fear-based programs. It has, when we have a lot of fear in the body, it becomes very difficult for us to filter any kind of blockage in the body. Okay, so it's really important to begin to understand, where are we holding fear in the subconscious mind in a way that is not allowing us to come into our full expression? Where are we trying to control? Where are we trying to filter, limit our highest expression? Where are we afraid to let go? That would be the primary question. And that, in that answer is where you would find how you manifest in the body this blockage. Does that feel like it might make sense, Esteban?
Yes, it does. It definitely does. I have obviously fear of how to support myself in this new being that I'm creating. But
Okay.
but I'm letting that go. I've really let that go, and I really sit every day in the space of the unknown, and I welcome that unknown without expectation of what is going to manifest. I just go with the flow. But that fear comes in that space, right? Of how am I going to be portrayed as this new individual? So I guess I got to do a little bit more work there.
Right. And this is very true for many healers right now, because a lot of people are shifting their careers into more holistic intention. And as we move in the next few years, many of us are going to be changing the way this world looks with the work that we're doing. So here's the thing, it's an invitation for spiritual maturity. And this is something that's been coming up a lot, that our direction is no longer focused on preserving the ego as an individual, but beginning to look and asking us to see what's good for the collective. It's like we're asking to mature to the level where now it's no longer self-serving. We're being asked to pull beyond that. Because every single human that is here that has gifts that we're suppressing, we need those gifts in such a profound way right now, because it's a vibrational frequency that when we activate them and when we apply them, it elevates the entire collective consciousness. And that's the thing that people don't understand. There is almost a responsibility. It's a sovereign responsibility that we come into as this organism that is interconnected to the whole well-being of the whole. And we understand that responsibility when we enter into a higher level of maturity, spiritual maturity, where we start to look above the earth now to the universe. How does our role in our existence play a role in the benefit and healing of the whole? This is where those fears will immediately begin to dissolve, because it's like playing really small. Meanwhile, your higher self is way up here playing major league in the essence of soul cultivation, in the activation of light consciousness on this planet. Because Esteban, you're already working on higher levels really intensely. Okay, so, and that's another thing that is so funny for humans that are working here on Earth. We really, we get so stuck in the material physical realm, we don't realize that we're already doing massive, massive changes in the higher realms. And the ego, you know, it's like a child that we just have to be, look, you're okay. You're actually doing way bigger things than you think, and nurture it into this expansion. And that is a surrender, you know.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you so much for that. Amazing. Anybody else have any other questions? Let me come in here to the chat. Scott says, would hypnosis or DNA reprogramming help me with this? Yeah, so here's how I approach hypnosis and DNA reprogramming. Hypnosis, and the way that I hold space for this hypnosis, is in order for us to begin to access and integrate the higher self into the physical. When we have deprogrammed a lot of the limiting belief systems that don't allow us to surrender, when we go into hypnosis, we have a very specific ceiling of consciousness that we won't be able to get beyond. Okay. But when we have done internal integration work, at least to some level, when you do hypnotherapy, you are able to travel into really high dimensional planes of yourself. You are able to navigate and integrate these higher selves. The purpose of my hypnotherapies is to allow you to integrate, embody that higher self into your everyday life. It's not just hypnosis as an isolated, wonderful experience, but one that is proactive in your life. So the way I would suggest is to get DNA reprogramming first in order to understand the emotional blockage that doesn't allow you to access that higher point. And once you are able to unblock that, when you do hypnotherapy, now your session will be fluid and really productive for this integration, deeper integration. So for any of you that are curious of working with me, I get this question a lot. This is how I would suggest to use these modalities, Scott. So go ahead and see if any of that resonates with you. So Ban says, about walk-ins, I woke up with a voice telling me walk in age 3, but I have no idea what to do with that information. I do believe that we had a near-death experience at that age. Why walk in so young? Absolutely, Silban. So I just was attending this incredible lecture by a woman that talks about children and near-death experiences, infants, even in the womb, that are experiencing near-death experiences. And what we learn and what we can gather from that research, that profound research, is that the souls at that age are still very aware of their multidimensional experience of existence, that they exist simultaneously in different realms. There was even a story of a child that experienced the death, left the body, went to her family, which again, my perspective is we have multiple simultaneous aspects of ourselves that exist. Multiple families. We don't just have one. We exist as everything. However, we will most closely return. We think we're returning, but we will experience the one that we're most connected to, that provides the tools and gifts to transcend this layer that we have as the physical in the earth realm. So this little being left the body into that experience and loved it so much, loved the unconditional love, loved the expansion, the freedom, that she wanted to return back to that. And the child wanted to exit. Little tiny baby has this understanding, okay? So with that being said, and the reason why I'm sharing that to answer your question is that because of that, there is an intelligence, a higher intelligence that transcends. The higher intelligence self-organizes consciousness in the way that best creates balance for the universe. So you being born into this life and still being alive after the near-death experience means that there is a higher intelligence behind your existence that requires your presence here, and requires the spiritual work that you do in order to heal yourself and your lineages in pulling this humanity forward. So it's important that you understand that those walk-ins, and what is a walk-in? It can be a higher octave or even a lower one. when people that experience a lot of drug use that are escaping from the body can hold in a lower frequency walk-in. Walk-in is, they describe it as a soul. I don't think it's a separate soul. I think it's the same soul, different fractals of ourselves that are accessible to the organism in order to experience another phase of that expansion. In our lifetimes, we can have many agreements to experience different lives. Those of you that have had many lives, such as me, we have the ability to experience a plethora of experiences in order to reach our highest expression. And it usually happens for souls that are very old, that have experienced the earth plane many times, and that need to have an accelerated ascension process in order to access the tools needed to make it whole, to close the circuit, in other words. Those of you that have experienced many lifetimes as many archetypes, and remember that in this lifetime, it's in order for you to close that, to come full circle, in order to enter into a higher octave when you leave this life. So the question is, what's the lesson during that near-death experience at the age of 3? What have you learned? What is the new walk-in providing you with? What are the tools and gifts that are being provided? And what do you need to do to transcend the limitations of that gift? The new walk-in, what do you need to transcend the lessons of that walk-in? Because every soul, every lifetime is an opportunity for transcending. What is it? That's really what we want to do. We don't want to get too caught up on the gifts. We are all gifts. Everything that we have, every part of us is gift. But the problem is that, again, we make it an identity and we limit ourselves. We are way more than that and way more potential. So we have to understand how to access those higher octaves. Okay, I hope that kind of helps. Looking for questions here in the chat. So happy to see you here. Jerry, one love. Mark, Justin, welcome. Nothing to find. Yes, it says yes. You can see Esteban is really pushing ahead of the pack in his inner work. So cool. I agree. Completely agree. I'm never sure about frequency elevation. It is an abstract. I do not understand it as we speak. Dorina, do you want to, did you have a question? Let me see if I can help support you. If you need support in that, definitely put in a question that's clear so I can help you with that. Oh, here it is. I'm not sure how to name the emotions I feel. I feel them in the body, but I do not have a reference to their names except the main ones, like fear, love types. Can I work through them without naming? This is so important, Dorina, that you brought that up. I remember in my early journey, I experienced this same thing. And in fact, it was something that I mean, I could feel it as sensations. I could name the sensations, like even abstractly, like it's like I feel like I'm being squeezed between two stones. That's how I was able to explain my emotions back then. Okay, being squeezed between two stones. What is that? Okay, so let's unpack that. Unpack the visuals. You are being constricted, confined, restricted. There's suppression, there's limitation, and then on the other side of that, there's fear of leaving that constricted space even. Okay, so there can be insecurity, doubt, unworthiness, fear. Okay, so this is how you can begin to unpack that. For many people that have been in survival mode a lot of their lives, leaving the body for a lot of their lifetimes in order to survive and to cope with overwhelming emotions that we don't know how to process, we've left the body so much that we've severed the connection between the mind-body. And I see this a lot in my sessions. It's really hard for clients to identify the emotions, to name them out. If we cannot name out the emotions in our human language, we won't be able to speak the language of the universe. I have to break it to you. And here's why. Because words have form, words have power, words are creation. And the names of the emotions that we have created for them, we've created these names. We created them not by chance. but because that's the form that they take and that they create in this physical realm. An emotion like fear, for example, has a very specific emotional vibrational expression. It has a very specific geometric form. It is made up of certain platonic elements that create this vibrational frequency, that create its shape. And those crystallized make up the patterns that make up your whole organism multidimensionally. So in order to know yourself, you have to know the patterns that make up what you are, the shapes, the geometry. And that is a language of the universe that we are required to learn in the human, for those light workers that are learning how to transcend this physical realm, that are interested in that. You must learn that language. Every emotion is a crystallization. And the language of crystallization is how to become an alchemist. In order to become an alchemist, you must know what is your raw form material that you are transmuting. If you don't know the raw material, you won't be able to have the tools to transmute it to the higher form. So, Dorina, my love, this is why, just like I was saying earlier, to get the largest list of emotions that you can find, sit with them and, okay, apathy. Sit there for a moment, apathy. If you don't know what it means, look in the dictionary. I see the dictionary definition and find in your body where you have experienced that emotion. What part of the body begins to contract? How does it trigger you? You might have subconscious triggers in your body without even knowing the definition of the word. This happens a lot because, again, it's a language that transcends our logical mind. It's a vibrational faculty of ours. So it's important for us to do that internal work. Okay. Very good. So let's go ahead and see here. What is the meaning of being born as a rhesus child? Okay, so Rh negative. Rhesus means rhesus negative, rhesus positive in our blood type. Okay, so this is a very complex topic because we have to understand how organisms, humans, self-organize within the greater Earth. Just like we have in archetypes that overrules our identity, we also have astrological signs, just like we have that. It's a picture of the energy of the universe. Our biology also is self-organized expression of intelligence. And your blood type is a product of that. Your blood type, is interconnected with many different things. In Japan, blood types are very important for dating, but they're also used as personality markers, certain traits that a human has. I don't abide by any one of those things because we are multidimensional. However, they are correct in the fact that certain blood types have certain purposes in this planet Earth. We can change our blood types. There are ways to change your blood type as well, okay? And we change blood types through mutations. Mutations that are occurring through epigenetic input. Whatever that is, whatever epigenetic input we put into the system can change the blood type in different ways. So rhesus, plus and negative, goes into the availability of your blood type, but multidimensionally, and I will speak just for now about the multidimensional aspect of it, that because we have this Rh negative or Rh plus, it multidimensionally, it allows access to deeper aspects of your genetic lineage. Many Rh negative humans are highly intuitive, highly have a lot of contact experience, and this is a product of the paper roll survey that was done by John Mack with experiencers, thousands of experiencers that were tested to identify the connections and the similarities that these experiencers had, the majority of them came out to be Rh negative. In my own research, in my own support group, I have the same results over hundreds of contactees and many other researchers that have done that work as well. In near-death experiences, in intuitive abilities, we begin to notice that a lot of people that have more phenomena tend to have Rh negative blood type. Why? From the multidimensional perspective, this is a blood type that is able to access deeper levels of their genetic memory earlier on. But it doesn't mean that other people don't. Everyone does. They just are encoded with that somehow. And it has to do with their lineage. A lot of this Rh negative is brought down through the lineage. There will be many of those mutations in the bloodline. And it has a lot to do with interdimensional awareness as well. So it's such a complex, I want to say so much more about it because where you're born also plays a role. The kind of blood types, if you map out the blood types in your family, there's a pattern to that. And it'll also show you evolution and collective trauma that is being brought down through the genetic line will also show that in its pattern of the blood types through the family members. But it's a pretty deep thing. So there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's not a limitation. It is a very important thing that you can use as information. All right, so all right, maybe answered, but what is the
Geraldine,
Yeah.
I had a question. Is it you're talking about the bloodline, the positive, negative, not the A, B, C, O type bloods?
Well,
It's the bloodline, right?
Well,
That
I'm
could
talking.
be shifted or switched. You could
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. 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 Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right. So does having a blood transfusion have an impact on us energetically? Absolutely. Absolutely. Multidimensionally. And I can give you an example of a client that I had that had a transfusion. Just a transfusion, okay? Because then I'm going to tell you about the organ implant, which was an even bigger impact. But the transfusion caused my client to have all of a sudden mood swings, very strong mood swings after they had the transfusion. And she couldn't understand why she was having this kind of, severe changes in her emotions all of a sudden. When we did the emotional work to access her root core patterns, we were able to identify why they were coming up, and they were triggers that she never really had in her. Now, it works two ways. The transfusion blood that she received is attracted by resonance on the higher level, and it allowed her an opportunity to break a pattern that was dormant within her that she had not known of. But the blood itself that was put into her body came with an encoding of vibrational emotions that she then took on in her body. And because she's super empathic, super sensitive, she was able to pick up on that. It is amazing. And the healing that she was able to do, the transcending that program that was input into her system, allowed her to change her life completely to the point where she changed her career as a result of that that insight that she received from the healing of those profound emotional mood swings. Okay, so yes, another example is when organs, which of course are filled with blood as well, different kinds, there has to be a certain blood. The organ holds memories. This client took in the new liver, and the liver created this incredible memories that they never had before, memories of other people, pictures, dreams of having experiences with other people, all encoded within the emotional programs that the liver holds. So humans have to merge now when they're doing these organ transplants, but nothing is by chance. The same memories and triggers that the client was remembering from the organ transplant were similar to programs that they had in their life that they were trying to overcome. So this to me shows me, again, it's proof that we connect with people, places, and things as a result of resonance, including the organs that we take into the body. And there are many cases about this. Within the cellular memory of the organs of our body, we hold that because memory is holographic and it is memorized within the entire system, even though it self-organizes through vibrational frequency through the different organs, the entire system takes on those memories. This is why sometimes trauma is difficult to overcome. But once you understand that, you can deprogram that. Our cellular memory and DNA, the same thing. The DNA is the core blueprint. Think of it this way. The DNA is the core blueprint of all memory, inside out, micro, macro, your universe, and the greater universe. DNA, that's what DNA is. The cellular memory is the output that organizes that information, but also information that's relevant to the area in which it exists, because we have different cells in the body that are designed to do different things. And those cells that are programmed are also holding specific subcategories of information for that range. So think of it that way. So for example, the liver that cellular memory of the liver will enclose specific memories to what was being processed or not processed through that one liver. And that's now put into the body. I was always told I have A+ blood type until a few years ago. Suddenly the blood type test showed A-. I think the test may have changed. What's your interpretation, please? Many thanks. Yeah, this again, we're going to have to talk about separately because it's really profound, but it's an amazing example of mutations that occur in our blood type. The metaphysical, esoteric, multidimensional aspect of that is the vibrational the amount of vibrational frequency that you're holding in your body can change the output of your organism biologically, and it will. Okay. When we talk about Christ consciousness, something really interesting is that when you access Christ consciousness, your entire organism changes. And it creates a mutation in your blood lineage. So people that have had Buddha-like beings in their bloodlines, or Jesus Christ descendants, or these great beings that have reached enlightenment, when we have that in our bloodlines closely to us, we hold those key blueprints in our body closer. So the children that are born in those bloodlines will remember more. They will be more empathic. They will be more, because that is the product of mutations in the bloodline as a result of alchemical transmutation. When you transmute alchemically in this lifetime, you are creating mutations in your DNA code. And this can also produce a shift in your blood type. Okay, so it's an interesting mechanism, but it's something that is inherited. And it also is a role in how hybridization also plays a role in our collective. Is it possible to be a hybrid mother for over 10 years? Because I've had more OBEs, out-of-body experiences I can count, with numerous children, highly intelligent realms. Sekhmet, yes, absolutely. People actually are part of this hybridization program all your life, multidimensionally, because it's not just about the reproduction system. It's multidimensional hybridization, which means your multidimensional genetic code is being utilized to create or to bring to life aspects of yourself that exist simultaneously. So the program is done way ahead of your consciousness in the physical timeline. It's already existing simultaneously, even before you come into this planet. The fact that you become aware of it speaks to your level of evolutionary opportunities that you have in this lifetime and the ability to transcend limitations and to be able to train yourself to navigate those interdimensional realms so that you know what to do with your hybrids. Because remember that hybrids are extensions of ourselves. They are fractals of ourselves. So we are learning how to utilize this. How do you know if you're a hybrid mother? Hybrid parents have a very specific protocol to becoming aware. I'll give you a very short resume because again, this is there's many ways to know, and there's many ways to know that you're not. But in general, most humans participate in the hybridization program because it's how the matrix survives parasitically and also organically. Okay, so most people are participant in the hybrid. If you're psychic, if you're intuitive, you're going to begin having dreams of presentations of the children. They might be presented to you in dreams. You might have dreams of little kids as a child that are being presented to you as your own. For females and for males, there are dreams of sexual encounters that can become very traumatic for people simply because they are so real and because there's a biological side effect. So either the female becomes pregnant or the male wakes up with markings, side effects on the body. And I talk a lot about this in our support group. But you know, there's a deeper layers of this. So if you feel that you're a hybrid parent, please join the support group so we can talk about it, because a lot of these topics are a little bit sensitive and not everyone feels comfortable discussing them. So you know, come in and let's talk about that. Changing blood type is something that happens spontaneously. It happens spontaneously and it happens organically. And it's not, our end goal is not to change our blood type. This is just something that happens as a result. And the blood type will direct our human navigation. All right, so let's start with our practice, guys. I'm so sorry we've been taking so many questions this time. All right, my loves, let's get nice and comfortable and we're gonna get started. Let's start by inhaling deeply. I will answer more questions at the end. We're gonna start by inhaling deeply, and we're starting at 2:22 p.m. As you inhale deeply, coming into a state of complete relaxation. Allowing yourself to come into absolute stillness. Breathing. And as you allow yourself to come into this deeper stillness and a state of observation, I want you to tune into the state of your body. Observing now what parts of the body are more difficult to relax. What parts of your body want to keep moving, keep fidgeting around. These are parts of the body that are holding on to emotional suppression. They're parts of the body that are unconscious, unaware. So as we gently bring our awareness to that part of the body, allow whatever is there, that intense, energetic expression, to kind of expand itself through your body as you allow to no longer resist what is wanting to communicate with you in that part of the body. The same with a contracted muscle, the same with pain in the body. Focus And as you focus, allow its communication to expand through you. In a complete state of observation, non-judgmental observation. As you work with every muscle in the body that is tense at this moment, you'll notice many layers releasing. And I want you to challenge yourself to see how relaxed can you be? How expansive can you be in this moment? Accessing that deepest, deepest state of expansion that you can. Breathing. Ground ourselves as we begin to anchor ourselves down to the center of the earth. I want you to visualize the center core of the planet. And you're going to create a cord that connects your body down to the center of the earth. As you create this grounding down to the center of the earth, bringing your awareness to your 5 senses. What are you hearing? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? What are you feeling? Okay. Right now, your awareness is probably at the top of your head, at top of your body, as you tune into your ears, nose, mouth. I want you to tune into those same 5 senses from the solar plexus. So go ahead and take yourself down to the solar plexus, your awareness to the solar plexus, and begin to observe through the 5 senses, through the solar plexus. We're going to go down to the perineum. That's at the very base of the body. And as you take yourself down here to the perineum, go ahead and tune in to the 5 senses from the perineum. What's happening right now is that you're bringing your entire energetic body into the body. Go down to the base of the feet, underneath the feet. Take your attention down underneath the feet. Tune into the 5 senses from underneath your feet. For many of you, this will feel uncomfortable because you're not familiar with anchoring your awareness this deep into the body. Our senses might feel muffled from here. That's okay. We're going to train ourselves to fine-tune them and refine them with time. Okay, so we're going to take our attention now from the physical body to your energetic field. So go ahead and tune into your body. How far out does your energy extend around you? Tune into that. And as you go ahead and tune into the variations of energy around you, you're going to create a sphere, imaginary sphere around your body that is made out of something impenetrable. Go ahead and create that sphere. And we're going to check to make sure that our sphere is completely solid and whole around the entire body. Becoming aware of the parts of us that are difficult to visualize, the parts of the sphere that are difficult to visualize. You're going to bring your attention there to those parts of the body. And you're going to visualize that you're sealing those parts to make it whole again, whatever part of the body it is. For many of you, it's very easy to visualize the front, mostly from the crown up to the mid-body. But when it comes to the back of the body, you cannot visualize the bubble clearly as the front. So what I want you to do is I want you to make it clear all around, underneath the feet, front, back, behind the tailbone, in front of the pelvic bone, shins, calves, all around. This is you working at the cellular level, asking the cells to wake up consciousness because they project into the field. So now you are becoming aware of all the dormant parts of you. You're bringing them into awareness. You will notice your awareness expanding around you. And some of you might uncover parts of your body that feel uncomfortable. These are the parts that have been dormant, that have been working so hard to suppress, ignore, that have been abandoned with emotional information, with cords and connections that are draining our life force unconsciously. So as you begin to create this sphere around your body, completely solid all around, I want you to visualize calling back your life force from anywhere that we have depleted our life force in an imbalanced manner over the past week, over the past month. With every breath you take, calling back your life force into your body. We are moving and training the body to come out of survival into a state of co-creation. So you're going to focus on the root chakra at the base of the spine. Go ahead and visualize shrinking that chakra down to the size of a dime. It's a double-sided vortex. You're just going to shrink it down, which means that the entire first layer of your body comes closer to your physical body. Okay, we are regulating our nervous system, bringing the brain into alpha state. And we are moving out of survival fear-based programming into state of neutrality. So go ahead and see yourself doing that. Notice any shifts in the body. Notice how your emotions change. Notice how survival changes. Okay. Go into your second chakra, the sacral, located 4 fingers underneath your navel. Okay. Go ahead and visualize this double-sided vortex shrinking down to the size of a dime. The second layer of your body comes closer. Okay, you're going to go up to your solar plexus now. As you regulate the solar emotional body, go ahead and shrink down that solar plexus, feeling your third layer of your body shrinking closer to your body. As you regulate the nervous system, come into alpha state, calling back your life force. Anywhere that it's completely out of balance from these lower bodies, we are bringing it into balance. Excellent work. We're going to go up into the heart now, taking a nice deep breath, expanding that heart chakra, opening the center of unconditional love. You're going to expand front and back, which means that the entire fourth layer of your body becomes bigger. This is what you're doing all around. Okay, you're going to go to the throat. Go ahead and expand the throat chakra. So double-sided vortex, you're just going to make it really big. And that expands. The fifth layer of your body becomes really big all around you. This is how you are shifting your perception. You're changing the radio station, the dial of your radio station, the frequency into a higher frequency. Okay, we're going to read the universe and ourselves through this higher vibrational frequency. You're going to go up to the third eye. Go ahead and expand the third eye chakra. Once again, really nice and big. This is contracted. This is expansive. As you see your sixth layer of the body expanding really big all around you. Okay, this is when you expand the third eye, you are activating your intuition. You are connecting to the field. Okay, so as you expand this third eye now, go ahead and see the color that represents your highest vibrational frequency. What color do you see? If it's more than one color, that's okay. We're going to go up to the seventh. Activate the seventh. Activate the eighth, meaning expanding and waking it up. If you're not used to using your seventh and eighth chakra, for you, you're going to want to activate it, which means you're going to open it up. Okay. So open the seventh, open the eighth. That means the seventh layer of your body, you're opening up. The eighth layer of your body, you're opening it up, expanding it. I want you to enter into that entire field, this color. You're going to enter it into the eighth chakra. Okay, go ahead and put that color up in the eighth. This is changing the way, neutralizing lower body filters of perception into universal neutral in alignment with your higher self perceptions. That's what you're doing now. So as you activate the eighth, you're going to send that down to the seventh. And the seventh chakra functions like a refraction mechanism. It's going to look like a pie chart. You're going to align. Why does it look like a pie chart? Because our DNA is coiled information. So what you're accessing here is the part of the coiled DNA strand that meets, and essentially you're inserting information for the way that this information is going to be written in your entire holographic DNA system. So into the seventh chakra goes the color into the area of career, into the area of abundance, into the area of love, relationships, health, vitality, consciousness, harmony, creative life force energy, sexual energy, money, abundance. And finally, your purpose. What are you here to do? Go ahead and fill it in, setting the intention that you are aligning yourself with this higher dimensional aspect of yourself. And as you are filling this field, you begin to align yourself with this higher dimensional awareness. All right, so now that you're here, we're going to go deeper. I want you to visualize from the center of the earth a powerful wave of green life force that comes rushing up into the body, creating a vortex of energy. Go ahead and visualize that vortex of energy rotating around your body. And as it rotates, it begins to activate your vortex. As you're moving this energy, as you can see, you're basically bubbles within bubbles. You are bringing this green energy into all of these layers, clearing out debris, blockages, unconscious crystallized emotions that you're unaware of. So just allow it to clear all of that up. Okay. You're going to go now and bring cosmic energy from source. Go ahead and bring down cosmic energy coming down, combining with this green earth energy. So as you combine that green and gold energy all around you, you're going to feel that rush of energy around your body. Go ahead and take 10% of this energy, send it back down to the center of the earth. Breathing deeply. Okay, go ahead and eliminate, let go, everything that you're trying to let go. Those of you that are trying to release things, programs, fears, anxieties, go ahead and let it down into the center of the earth, out of your body. Help yourself, be compassionate with yourself, coming into a state of neutrality, healing. Okay, you're gonna go ahead and take 80% of that combination, send it up your spine from the crown of your head, creating a fountain of energy on the outside of your field. Okay, neutralizing the matrix, everything that we know and have made of matrix. Inhale deeply, taking back your life force. Releasing anything that doesn't belong to you. Breathing. Going to take that final 10% of cosmic and earth energy. You're going to bring it inside the body, green and gold, into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level of the body, healing the body, sending this life force to the organs that require more attention, more love, more healing. Breathing. Excellent. Okay. So this is the nourishing point, the loving point that you are magnifying in your field. So from here, I want you to begin to observe the emotion that most came up for you in the past 24 hours. Let's take a look at what our beautiful organism has been put through in the past 24 hours. What emotion have we most come into? Where is our resistance? Where have we been resisting, fearing, doubting, blocking? To begin to become aware of this emotion. I want you to pinpoint in your body where that emotion is living, what part of your body contracts the most as you feel that emotion. And we're working with any negative emotion or what you think is negative, anything that has caused triggers. Okay, this is where our focus is for healing. So go ahead and focus on that emotion. And I want you to be present. Okay, as you sit with the emotion, unpack the emotions inside, name them out. You're going to identify primary, secondary, and tertiary emotions. Which one is the strongest one that comes up? Second to the one that you're feeling now. Okay. What kind of thought forms are connected to this emotion? What kind of programs are connected with this emotion? Breathing deeply. With every breath you take, expanding into the discomfort that any of these emotions might be causing you. Most of you want to run away at this point because it's such an uncomfortable emotion that we don't like, that we are so used to feeling in our lives that we're always used to running away at this point. But today we're not going to run away. We're going to observe it. So I want you to shift your perspective from judgment and everything that you've known about this emotion into simple observation. And now you will begin receiving insights about your beliefs about this emotion. About why you feel that way, how it's made you feel that way. So listen. You're going to listen. What is the survival mechanism that you're playing out here in this emotion? Who is surviving? The ego or the soul?
Alive.
And as you observe this, and with non-judgment, just take a look at that part of you that is looking for protection. See that part of you in front of you. What does it look like? Many of you might find that part to be very afraid, crouching down, contracted, afraid, paralyzed, feeling lost, feeling broken. Just observe. I just want you to notice this part of you. This is the part of you that plays, that is expressing itself through all of the choices that we made in our life, through all the parts that have suffered, that have cried, that have felt overwhelmed, that have felt helpless. This is the part of you that is in the back end of those experiences. It's caused potentially us to make choices that separate us from our truth, caused us more suffering. And I just want you to observe the cause and effect of this part of you in your life. How has it impacted you? How has it changed your life? So as you begin to work with this part of you, I want you to notice what would be a different way for this part to express itself. As you run through these potential scenarios, you begin to learn a little bit about some of our own self-sabotaging mechanisms. We begin to learn a little bit about things that we fear, more fears that begin to uncover. And you're just going to observe them without judgment. These are wonderful jewels of information that can help powerful transformation in your life. Because if you understand what limits you, you can understand how to access expansion. So as you begin to understand these, ask yourself, what would someone that loved themselves do in this moment? In these many moments in which we've contracted ourselves, in which we've played small, hidden, self-sabotaged. And just observe how the element of love changes this part of you and the power of that shift. This is not something that is conceptual, but it's information that you will utilize as you are embedding it in your subconscious mind as a tool for you to access tomorrow, next week, next month, and for the rest of your life. So allow yourself to go big with this observation. Break through the barriers that want to play small here. Allow yourself to see love, to embody love, to learn love. As you allow this part of you to begin to integrate this love within them, they begin to transform. They begin to notice that their suffering is self-created and that they can change and choose differently. So begin to observe the side effects. As you see this part of you transforming, absorbing that love within them, I want you to see all the parts of you in your life, all the fractals of yourself, from the womb until now. And I want you to allow them to begin to absorb this transformation, this love, this new understanding, new way of being. As you have established a new program, if the program before was, I do not accept myself, or I don't love myself, or I'm not good enough, now the program will be, I do accept myself. I am the source of my acceptance, the source of my approval, the source of my love, the source of all my needs. I am the source. And I want you to embody that knowing that you are the source, regardless of what happens externally, regardless of who or what triggers you, what the world decides to do. With all these global changes in the world, you are maintaining your source as source. Notice the empowerment, the security. And some of you, when you observe this empowered feeling or feelings of potential joy, trust that begin to emerge, some of you might get afraid of that. You might be afraid of losing it again. So again, it's uncovering another part of you that needs to be nurtured. So do it. Go to that feeling that is there in the back end. Bring it to the surface. Fact check it and provide it the supporting evidence that it requires for it to know a different way. To know the truth, actually. Because if we are suffering, we are only experiencing part of a truth, but never the whole. Never. So as you begin to create your powerful foundation of knowing yourself, of healing the self, begin to see your fractals in front of you transforming. I want you to merge them into one. In your body, you're going to see a cord connecting you to all of the ancestors on this planet that have played out this same program simultaneously. Our ancestors that are still trapped in the belief in these past lives, simultaneous lives, playing out these small roles of suffering and pain. Allow yourself to see those cords to those countries, planets, alternate dimensions, however far you expand. Find them, identify them, and see the cords in the field. You can visualize them like roots of a tree, like energy lineages, whatever feels real to you. I want you to uproot those cords, liberating all of these ancestors that have played out these roles. You are basically looking at your holographic DNA right now. This is not something external, nothing that will come out of balance as a result of this. This is all within you. So as you begin to see these ancestral imprints within your own DNA, look at them in front of you to begin to feel what is it that they require in order to embody their highest expression. What is needed? What have we learned today? How do we get them to embody their source? Go ahead and provide them what they need. You will feel the healing deeper now as you also heal them. You will feel it in the base of your spine. You will feel it around your entire body. As you see these fractals of yourself beginning to absorb this new way of thinking, they're going to merge into a white light. Let them leave your space. Inhale deeply and exhale, neutralizing as you become one with them. They return back to the source cord. And I want you to see the fractal of yourself that has healed. And I want you to notice what's different with this part of you now. What has changed? How will you change now as you implement this new wisdom today, tomorrow, next week, begin to apply this new part of you visually. Just imagine for a moment a scenario that's coming up this week that you would most likely play out the old self. How will you now play this scenario out differently? Play it out in your mind. Notice how your reactions, triggers have changed. They've lessened. Notice how you hold yourself up a little higher, how you're more clear about your role in this dynamic, how you're no longer confused, afraid, lost, separate. Okay. So inhale deeply. As you inhale this part of you into your body, you're going to integrate it into the root, the sacral, solar, heart, throat, third eye. 7 bodies in, 7 bodies out, all charges down to 0, negative, infinite. I want you to open the root chakra back into a balanced state. Okay, I want you to remove the blockages in the back of your root chakra. Many of you have a lot of blockages in the back of your chakra. So I want you to go in there and begin to release them. Some of you have cords here in the back of the root chakra. I am scanning the entire room across the different channels. So this message is for everyone that is here. I want you to go to the root chakra in the front, in the 3rd layers of your bodies. Remove blockages out of there. Okay, go into the 2nd chakra. Go ahead and open that chakra back into a balanced state. Balance is about 6 inches wide, front and back. Okay, and go ahead and move the blockages at the center core of that sacral chakra, both men and women. That sacral chakra at the very center of the chakra in the spinal cord. Remove those blockages. These are ancestral collective traumas that we are all experiencing right now. So let's go ahead and remove those from the sacral. This is the collective sacral. You can imagine white light coming down like a vacuum, pulling it out of that sacral chakra, gently removing. Very good. Okay, you're going to go up into your solar plexus. Let's go ahead and open that solar plexus back up into a balanced state. And from the solar plexus, I want you to remove the collective anger that is here. This anger that we have about injustice, the injustice in the world. When we believe that others are harming us, ignoring us, disconnecting us, abandoning us, causing us harm. Remove that program out of the body. Allowing you to feel safe in your intuitive discernment, to trust your discernment as you navigate the world. And know that your vibrational frequency is the one that aligns you with the things that need to be experienced for ascension. Breathing. Let's tune into forgiveness now as we begin to forgive all the parts of us that we have abandoned ourselves. The same injustice that we see in the world is the same one that we're enacting within ourselves towards ourselves in a micro version. So I want you to begin to feel compassion for yourself. The judgment that you place on others and on yourself cause you harm. So take a moment to feel love and gratitude for this body, for this organism, for the wisdom that allows you to navigate this realm consciously. Conscious means mindful of your life force, your emotional life force, input and output. Any part of us that feels hopeless, overwhelmed, can feel safe as you create a foundation of yourself. And no matter where you are or what happens, you are safe because you are the source of all your needs, your emotional needs, which then translate into the physical as resonance with people, places, and things that are in alignment with you, that will support healthy, vibrant living. Go up into the heart chakra now. As you have an expanded heart chakra, I want you to release and remove all of the blockages in the fourth layer of your body of unworthiness, the fear to love, the fear to receive love, which means we have to be vulnerable. We have to feel safe in vulnerability, feel safe in the balance of the feminine and the masculine in its highest expression, which is gentle. It is intuitive. It is fluid. It is not controlling. It is wise and balanced. Going up into the throat chakra now. As you expand that throat chakra, eliminating all the blockages in the fifth layer of your body that block your communication, your expression, your ability to ask for your needs to be met from that balanced feminine and masculine. To know that what you're asking for is not just in alignment with the ego's desires or survival mechanisms, but truly in alignment with your entire organism's highest expression and that of the collective. This is the level that we're operating at now. So go ahead and bring yourself into that expansive state, breaking all those blockages in your field, dissolving them, loving them, turning them into love is what we do here. Turn that fear into love, that separation into unity. You're going to go up into your third eye now, the intuition. Do you fear truth? Do you fear your own truth, your own shadow, your own darkest parts, your own desires? It's time to reconcile with all of the parts of us and bring into unity. It's time to accept everything that you are and everything that you believe you aren't, in order to become all. So letting go of those fears of the divine feminine, the intuitive self. Okay. Going up into the seventh and eighth chakra, take a look at your eighth. Has your eighth color changed at all? If it's changed, this is your new vibrational signature that you have healed and adjusted during this session. Go ahead and illuminate the seventh now with your color or colors. Trust your intuition. The first insight that comes up is correct. Put that into the seventh. Aligning yourself in every aspect of your life with your new center. I want you to see a room, karmic contract room. All of the agreements that you've made coming into this life and all lives in order to experience karmic cycles of unconsciousness, repetition. If you're ready to let that go, shine your seventh and eighth chakra on top of this room, on top of these contracts, and dissolve them. One by one, let those contracts dissolve. Let them see them turning into vapor, see them turning into sand and then dissolving down, see them turning into water and evaporating, burning them up into ashes. Whatever feels real and easy for you, empty that room as you consciously choose to co-create from a place of creativity. As you eliminate the contracts from that room, a lot of you will feel, sometimes many of my clients sigh, let out a very deep sigh, a deep release. It feels lighter, more expansive. Know that this is happening in your multidimensional self. It's proof of the work you're doing. Okay, as you allow this to clear out, I want you to fill that empty room now with your new color from your crown. So fill up that room. Right now, you are vibrationally shifting your frequency in all dimensional layers in alignment with your highest truth, your highest intention of unity. So let's put that into this room. Okay. You're going to activate the 9th. Get ready, guys. Activate the 10th. We're going up to 22nd. This entire year, we're going to be activating up to higher dimensions. So go up to the 11th. When I say the number, you imagine activating that chakra, opening up that field around you. Activate the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, the 15th. Activate the 16th. Breathing down to the base of the spine, anchor it. The 16th, the 17th, the 18th, the 19th, 20th, 21, 22. And above you is a powerful white light of source. I want you to connect up into that source. I want you to bring that source down into your body as you anchor that source light into the center of your crown through the pineal gland. Activate and decalcify that pineal gland, bringing that life force transmuting into the throat. You're going to activate the chakra between the heart and the solar plexus. Go ahead and expand that chakra, anchoring it into the integration of the lower, mid, and upper dantian, and into the root, into the perineum, clearing out blockages from the perineum, anchoring that white light like a pillar down through the center of the earth. And as you anchor yourself down to the center core of the planet, allowing yourself to feel that white light moving through your body, I want you to widen that cord, that pillar of light in your body, as wide as your body, as wide as your field, as you grow your light. And we grow light through emotional balance. We grow light through the embodiment of our truth and sustaining that truth. Excellent work. I want you to open your eyes, bring yourself back into the room. Excellent work. You guys did amazing. I don't want you to hold that space. This is a vibrational frequency for this week. Every week, we're working on strengthening this foundation, stronger and stronger. So I want to thank you so much for the beautiful work that you're doing. I'm so honored to hold this space with you and the work that you're doing in this world. And I'm going to see if anybody has any questions. I do want to invite you guys, if you guys are in Tucson, February 11th, I'm going to be lecturing on the navigation of interdimensionality. And we're going to talk a little bit about ET contact, but also interdimensional navigation and spirituality. Why is interdimensional navigation the key to ascension? That's essentially what the conversation is about. So please join me if you're in Tucson, February 11th. I would love to meet you, see you, interact with you. Yeah, so I'm very grateful. All right, my love. So let me see if I did miss one question from Shirley, who said, can you expand on the gateway of global transformation and the sense of urgency between now and April? Well, I am never a fan of creating urgency because anything that is urgent is a temporary reality. So we want to talk about the collective sustained truth, which is natural balance, how to maintain balance. And we, we're in a multidimensional realm that's constantly moving around us. How do you maintain balance when the world is shifting so quickly and moving? That's actually what we're trying to do. From now between April, there will be major changes in the world and a lot of new things that are going to come pretty quickly. Disclosure is one of them. They've been tiptoeing around the topic for a long time, but as you have seen over the past 3 years, they have really pushed it into the mainstream tremendously. And so that means that we're getting ready to have that conversation seriously. But this is because, as I mentioned, that spiral that we're moving through, we're entering this octave of frequency where that conversation is inevitable because more humans are having contact, more humans are becoming lucid in dimensional levels. As you can see, if you look at, the amount of people that are conscious at this time, it's deep consciousness, not superficial spirituality. It's deep awareness that people are accessing right now. This is not, we haven't reached this point in many generations that we're now reaching. That's natural. It's part of the essential cycle. We're going to go up to a high pinnacle point, and then there will be a reset for humanity. This is natural. So right now we're at a point where we have to have open conversations about disclosure, technologies, because technology is speeding up. We're going to do a hyper jump by this mid-year. So we have to be prepared for that. You and I here, everyone on this call, we're all prepared. But it's mainstream that's going to have an adjustment period. So what we need to do as light workers is to hold space in our knowing that the higher we work internally, we get to maintain a balance and soften this shift for humanity in a way that is loving, that feels safe. Because a lot of people are dealing with not knowing how to deal with what's going to happen. Am I going to continue to feel safe? Am I going to be comfortable? The answer is no. No one is going to be comfortable, because that's the whole point. We have to be comfortable in the unknown all the time. I don't know how better way to stress that, but please train yourself to be in constant evolution, because that's really what it is. And all of you are doing that here. The gateway, it's not just the gateway, it's the existence of frequency that we're in. We're aligning and attuning to a higher density. So practice lucid dreaming. I keep stressing that. That's not a small portion of our work. It's a large portion, because what we're happening in dream time is the information that we're going to need to know how to navigate the changes that are happening. It's going to come to everyone. It is coming to everyone. You're all getting these hits. So listen, write down, have a notebook, write down the channelings that you're getting, practice your channeling to refine the information. Don't connect to one source, connect to your source, your highest source, channel that information. You are the deity. If you guys want to believe in deities or masters, you are it. Don't think of anyone else outside of you except yourself. Focus on the information that you bring through, because it's a puzzle piece to the whole. And the more we share together, the more we grow together quickly, educate each other in order to move forward. So that's really, really important. And what we're going to focus on. Okay. I'll be making more videos on that, Shirley, as we move. So don't worry, we're in this together and we're moving forward in a way that is compassionate and loving, but we are going to see an uprise in that. Wow. I'm going to my YouTube here and I have so many amazing, loving super chats from you guys. I want to thank you so much for your support. Tell you that it really does mean a lot to me and it does help. Thank you so much, Sioban. Thank you very much, Brave Seal. Thank you, Sienna. Thank you, Mark Hudson. It is such a a gift to share this with you. Doug Dingup says, is there a name for the chakra between the heart and the solar? I'm experiencing intense releases, expansions there that engage with higher layers, revealing lots of info, symbols, and entities. Absolutely. This chakra between the heart and the solar plexus connects up to the 11th dimensional plane. Okay, so it's the higher self. It is part of the system, the function faculty of the higher Dantian, and it's what activates the higher system. The name of it, I call it the lotus. That's my name that I've come up with. I don't know if there's other texts or other modalities that talk about that chakra in a specific name. If anybody else knows, put it in chat, put it in there. I call it the lotus chakra because the way that it looks like a lotus petal. All of our chakras look like flowers because they have different streams. I'm going to make a diagram of that and show you for the next Sunday. Nicoela says Inca seed. Oh, really? Okay, I'd love to learn more about what that name represents, but this is the key of the integration of the 3-dimensional layers, and it connects to the 11th dimensional plane. And when this sprouts, it's a reaction in the sacred and the perineum, this chakra, the third eye, or this faculty, 3rd, 7th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then the 11th, because it connects up to that higher self. So it's really, really important. Nicoela says it's the spirit energy at the moment of conception. Yeah, I mean, I can see that for sure. I mean, the 11th enters into that. John says it's the sacred chamber of the heart. It is a layer of the heart. Absolutely. It's an interconnection of all. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much. Oh, Mafona, thank you so much for that super chat. Super, super generous. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Her name is Lily, Leon, Christine, Jessica, Brad M. Mom's name is Grace, Leon. So are you saying there are no ascended masters like El Moira? That's not my experience. Of course, there are ascended masters, many of which we are interacting with all the time. My thing is, this is my thing. This is why I say what I say, because people, you beautiful spirits, you think of El Moira, you connect with El Moira, and that's it. You're like, oh, I only channel El Moira, or El Moira connects with me, he channels through me. It's not El Moira. It's an archetype vibrational frequency fractal of that consciousness as that information came through that channel that you're tuning into. It's one level of infinite levels of yourself that you have access to. So my only invitation with this comment that I'm making is that you understand that you learn what you need from that part of you that's being channeled, but keep going. Don't make that your only channel, because you're filtering through the filters of whatever El Moira's limitations were. That's where you're going to filter your cap at, and you can go beyond that. I see a lot of amazing spiritual channels that they keep blocking themselves because they keep channeling from one thing, but we have to keep moving. We have to evolve. We are so much more than that until we are all in nothing. And the future of our spiritual work is to be nothing, and you will see that in the future how that looks. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, so that's what I mean. So of course there's ascended masters. They are us in these dimensions. Okay, thank you so much, Chelsea. Lots of information for me to comprehend. Yes, thank you. All right, my loves, I hope you have an incredible week. Thank you so much for your support and your love. Instagram, Facebook. Oh, Siobhan has a question. Is the point to eventually connect to our oversoul? So yeah, so the concept of oversoul, I mean, we have many, you see, we have many fractals of ourselves that exist simultaneously. The soul is the name that we create an octave or one frequency of your giant frequency expression. Okay, so soul is the one that incorporates in here immense amounts of information, but you're everything. And you can't really call that everything is soul, that everything is source. So the higher level of your soul is source. It's the souls, many souls as their individual expressions, and then source. You are all that. So I hope that makes it kind of clear. Yeah, that's right, John. All the masters. Awesome, guys. Angie, thank you so much. I love you. Pono, thank you so much. Jason. All right, guys. Have an amazing week. Love you all. Bye-bye.